It's always a pleasure to have you join us here on Big Talk. We're live in Abuja, Nigeria's capital, and we are Mofwegwe. Incidentally, I'm in for Michael Adikan today, who turns out to be my co-hosts on the program. But just to give you a quick heads up as to what Africa's will be by way of conversation on today's installment of the program. First of all, the Expatriate Employment Levy issue is still a big conversation in front of us. Questions around its conception, how timely or otherwise it is, and what it is that it will be in terms of benefits to government and to Nigerians ultimately have been on the front burner. Those who are driving this initiative have made very frantic efforts to ensure that answers are provided to all of these questions. Tonight, we will straighten up on where we are today and where the government hopes to be in the weeks, months, and years ahead with this laudable and very commendable initiative. In the meantime, we now understand that one of the advantages those behind it say will be the fact that it will bump government revenue, it will enhance compliance, and then questions and concerns have also been raised about how it protects Nigerian jobs. Of course, I will help you find sense along those lines as well. The Oronsaye report, for some people, it has become, for want of better words, the elephant in the room, but then it is in the room already. Government is now talking about some sort of merger of agencies, of departments, in some cases, ministries. But the conversation is not as simple as it appears because it gets protracted when you look at the bureaucracy in the civil service on the one hand and the invested interest, politically speaking, that is, on the other hand. How easy or otherwise will it be for governments to pull through with what now appears to be a very daunting task? On the political side, we have people now saying, well, it is the government of President Bola Tinubu trying to distract from the economic crisis or the food and whatever other crisis, the hardship that Nigerians are grappling with in recent times. But for whatever it is worth, this is a report that has been on the shelf for a decade and counting. So today, the Bola Tinubu government looks back and says, it is high time we took these reports, dusted it off, and then run with it. The race has started. How soon we'll get there and how we'll get there, and now the concerns that Nigerians are trying real hard to wrap their heads around. Michael, it's always a pleasure to have you on the program.
Great pleasure. Good to be here on the show this time.
Exactly. I know your enthusiasm about the Oronsaye reports because the angles are numerous, right? So let's begin from home. Let's talk about, first of all, the idea behind going back to pick this report, because there are people now saying, well, hold on a second, why didn't government go back to the Confab report of 2014?
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about that for a minute.
I'll first start by saying that it seems that this government, these administrations are having a trial and error systems right now because they have quite been coming out with a lot of policies and sometimes it's about the process that they go about it. Sometimes the idea is fantastic, a good initiative, a good move, but the way they are going about it is quite very worrisome to the system already. So for them to go back to, a report made by Steve Orense quite so many years ago under Goodluck Jonathan's administration, it's a fantastic initiative to discuss of governance. That is the idea. But how are you going about it in a time like this? How do you want to manage, the economic crisis, the concern by Nigerians and all of that? When you look at the fact that the executive has still have appointed more ministers than every other president in this country. Eight upon eight. We are still having appointment coming in even after 9 months of administration. So you go to the legislative, we are still having about good budget, going into the National Assembly that sometimes they are not even accountable for. So all of these are concerned. So fine, fantastic. We understand the issues that surrounding, issues of civil service, but what effort have you done? There were laws that established some of these agencies. Have we gone to the National Assembly to deliberate about it? Have you given a public hearing for people to make their views? All of these, but coming out, waking up and giving a printed copy, coming out to implement their the report from Steve about issue of merging agencies are quite what Nigerians are not really happy about it, because reducing cost of governance, it has to do all round. It shouldn't just be
just the executive.
It shouldn't just be one
You
side.
know, there are people now saying, look, let's do bicameral legislature. Let's
Exactly. Exactly.
Let's close the gap. All right. Let's just bundle the Senate and the House of Representatives into one.
Exactly.
And they say that way will cut costs. The others saying, look, we must understand the complexities called Nigeria, because they say we have our peculiarities, and as such, we don't have to adopt some model that may work in some other part of the world, but are not likely, or it's not likely going to work for us back at home. But whatever that means, how do we understand? I mean, what was your sense, for example, about some people now saying, well, it is the government of President Bola Tinubu trying to distract or trying to deflect attention, as it were, from the conversation around the hardship, economic hardship that Nigerians are dealing with every day. But like you said, it's laudable. But how does the government now go forward to convince Nigerians?
It's an issue of priorities. You see, when we are finding solutions, you definitely get to see the root causes of an issue, of a problem, before finding some solutions. So the administration of Bola Tinubu, to me, are finding solutions not on the basis of priorities, because you look at the issues of reduction of merging of our agencies and our ministries. Would that really solve the problem that we're having?
But some people say it to address some of the issues.
It will not, because the issue that we're having in this country is not about the ministries, it's about the system. It's that the people,
the ministries, the departments and agencies not part of the system?
The people are Nigerians in the system.
So have you changed those people?
Have you changed these people? You are merging these people. You are not entirely...
The way they think, their attitude
you are not entirely
work.
leaving them to go. So as you said, you understand what is going on in the civil service. So it's about those big fishes in the room. So the people are still there. So it's not about the ministries that we are having. It's not about the agencies we are having, but the system, the people that are in the system.
I'm just going to come in. I mean, that's an angle, a very valuable one at that. I mean, somebody who has a handle on all of these policy issues, you know, civil service systems and all that, was talking on national television just a couple of days ago. He said, look, this idea of picking up this Steve Oronsaye report is commendable. However, he says, governments must realize that it has to find the courage, or what they call the balls, all right, to send some people home. So you have to give them some kind of package.
Exactly.
Because he said, look, you merge ministries A and B, you merge agencies C and D.
Exactly.
Forgetting that these two agencies have directors, assistant directors, they have their permanent secretaries, whatever, I mean, what have you. What do you tell these directors? How do you fit them in and get the system going seamlessly? So it raises questions around sincerity of purpose, courage on the part of governments, vision, and of course, leadership. Let's talk about those elements.
Exactly what we are saying. We've recently found CBN saying that, the Abuja headquarters is not enough to accommodate some of the departments. They have to move operation to Lagos. Just take a look at that. So if for instance, you're coming into major NCC and some of those agencies and departments under one, as you said. So what happened to so many directors that we're having at these agencies? How would they do? Are you reducing the powers of the ministry that actually, the law have established some of these commissions
the
and these agencies, the acts.
Right?
And these are the people that rose from where they were, to the rank of being a director in the civil service.
Some of them for as long as 20, 35 years.
They have served according to the law. So you cannot in any way start, having to pick one.
Without a recourse to the act establishing them, which is the National Assembly.
Exactly. So these are the concerns. So it means that the right step would have been the president finding how and the means to do this. Not just waking up and going to a report that is not in current, it's not responding to the current economic realities that we have in this country.
Some people say they are now nursing the fear that, look, while the idea of removing fuel subsidy removal, this is not an idea, not an intention to deflect, but these are issues that are interwoven on some level. Let's say, yes, on the one hand, the idea of removing fuel subsidy was great, but that the approach was wrong. Exactly. Do you think that's exactly the same thing happening with this Oronsaye report? Right? I
first started that the government, the administration has always come out with a fantastic idea, with a good move, but in the wrong direction. Because look at the fuel subsidy issues. quite very sad right now. Everybody wants everyone wants the reversal of the subsidy.
I mean, we should go back to status quo.
Everybody wants us to go back to the status quo. That things that the many policies the president is trying now are things that we would have put in place before actually, removing the subsidy. So for now that we are finding ourselves, life is so quite hard, and it seems the government are trying to run from one pole to the other, trying to see how they can arrange the situation. The best way is for you to go back to the status quo, maintain the status quo, bring the idea that you have and the policies you have so that you can enhance life upon removing the subsidy. So it's the same issue that we are finding at these adoptions of Orense report. The report is fantastic so many years ago, but there are so many bottlenecks, on that report. This was the report made by that time. The reality of that time is quite different from the reality of the
circumstances have changed.
Circumstances
very drastically.
Changed, exactly for now. So it's not the priorities.
As a wrap up now, I must say, Michael, two things, quite frankly. The president had made very clear time and again that, look, I understand the enormity of work that is on my desk as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, he says, look, it may bite real hard now, but the light is going to shine at the end of the tunnel. How do we weave those factors into the reality?
I entirely disagree with the president. You see, when for quite so many months now, you've been telling Nigerians to exercise patience. It's about telling the Nigerians people that there's a light at the end. But we are not seeing effort made by other arms of government, other Nigerians. We are finding that this is the same government that approved a fat sum of money, for the purchase of vehicles to the members of the National Assembly. We're finding it, the presidential troops traveling to Qatar and other countries that the president is going out to visit. The cost, it has not been reduced. We're finding, some of the move by government officials not in line with the current economic realities. So the point where you're making Nigerians to suffer at the decision that you made, it's quite worrisome. So if everybody has to go through the process, it means that the sacrifice must be all round. It shouldn't just be about Nigerians. The Nigerian people or even under military regime, we've not had this hard before. At a point where people are struggling to eat 3 square meals. You've seen warehouses being invaded by some residents of FCT.
Out of desperation.
Out of desperation because of the hardship. Because an hungry man is an angry man. So the steps that you understand that the reality is not about telling a child not to cry. When you understand the child is hungry. So the Nigerian people are in the position that right now they don't even know where to go, where their next meal is meant to come from. So it's not about telling Nigerians to exercise patience again. The right thing must be, if you are telling Nigerians to let Nigerians also feel your effort. It's also about engagement with the citizens. The level of engagement between the government and the people is quite very far.
I know people have just in line with what you said now. There are those who have said the government didn't carry out what they often call wide consultation, that the government had not consulted widely enough, and as such, that again is going to rub off very negatively on the outcome. But Mike, you and I, as usual, we keep an eye out on these developments as it unfolds, and we'll continue to have this conversation here on Global Television. Michael Edikon there, just joining to help straighten out things with regards to the Oronsaye reports and the full implementation that has now been directed by President Bola Tinubu. We're taking a quick break, everyone. When we return, someone who has consistently followed the Expatriate's employment levy issue will be here to help us find perspectives and insights in that regard. Don't go away.